It's been a little while, but I'm back now with a brand new list of extremely easy platinum trophies you can get now on the PlayStation 4. Most of these have come out in the last few months in 2017. A bunch of them are adventure games, so keep in mind that they are very easy, but they are extremely easy if you use a guide, usually only taking you an hour or 2 hours in order to obtain them. Well, without further ado, here's the list. You're going to see a few of these types of games on this list, but kicking it off is Nightmares from the Deep 2: The Siren's Call, the sequel to, of course, Nightmares from the Deep, and it has an almost identical trophy list. You will have to complete the game 2 times, though. Once finding all the hidden objects and making sure you don't use hints along the way as far as completing puzzles are concerned, and then playing it again, though you can play on easy mode the second time around, where you have to complete all of the Mahjong style of puzzles, making things a little bit more difficult, but overall still a very easy plat. Blackwood Crossing is one of those games that's considered a walking simulator, but it's one of the few that I actually would recommend checking out even if you're not going after the trophies, as I think the story is pretty darn well told. There are some missable trophies though along the way, as well as I did run into some problems as far as them unlocking. I mostly noticed that if I played the game for a long period of time, the farther I made it in, the trophies stopped popping for some reason. So what I recommend is keeping a guide handy and backing up your save every so often. There is no chapter select in the game, unfortunately, so you would have to start it over from the very beginning, but thankfully, even if you do, the game is relatively short, taking about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get through. While we've seen a small resurgence of action 3D platformers and the likes of Yooka-Laylee, Ikimo is a game that's so bad that I cannot recommend checking out other than for trophy hunters. Thankfully though, the game is really short, taking me less than 2 hours to beat initially. You do have to do a little bit of collecting though throughout the course of the game, though there are plenty of guides out there to make sure you don't end up missing anything. If you do, you have to start from the beginning, as once again, there is no chapter select. But the game is so broken and so pathetically easy though, this really doesn't end up being too much of a chore, and you should have yourself an easy platinum in relatively no time. Last year we saw the remastering of Day of the Tentacle, one of my favorite adventure games of all time, and now we're seeing a remastering of another great LucasArts adventure game in Full Throttle. This game once again though has a very easy platinum for you to get, though there are missable trophies, so you may want to have a guide to help you through, and if you use that guide you'll probably get a platinum in just a couple of hours, but this is well worth your time as it's one of the best adventure games available on the PlayStation 4. We've seen a little bit of resurgence as far as FMV games are concerned, and from the makers of The Bunker, which was a very easy platinum, we now have The Late Shift. Once again, a very, very easy FMV game that does have a lot of endings, but thankfully you can actually exit back to the main menu during the course of play before you make it to the next chapter, so you don't end up having to do a ton of playthroughs to get the platinum. There's a great text guide already available for all of the choices and a very easy way to get the plat, and it'll only take you a couple of hours to do so, but this FMV game is actually not too bad to play through. Igmigmatis, the Ghost of Maple Creek, is another one of those find the hidden object style of games, similar to Nightmares from the Deep and Clockwork Tales of Glass and Ink and the like, but this one is another one that's pretty easy. It only requires one playthrough, and unfortunately though, there are some glitches. Sometimes the puzzles, after completing them or going out of menus, the game just locks up completely, with nothing being able to be interacted with. I ran into this problem a couple of times and had to start the game over from the beginning, so once again, I would back up your save throughout the course of it so you don't have to start from the beginning. But thankfully, this is one that you only have to play one time through and you will have yourself the plat. When you think of easy platinums, a real-time strategy game is not usually the type that lends itself to that, but that's what we have with Siegecraft Commander. It is a game featuring a full-blown RTS campaign for you to complete, but if you want to just get the trophies and get the platinum, you just have to complete a bunch of monotonous tasks, very easy ones, and most of the trophies in the game are flat-out gold trophies, making the whole experience well worth your time if you're trying to boost the total amount of gold you have, as well as get a very easy plat. The only issue is it is a little bit pricey, so you may want to wait for this one on sale, but Siegecraft Commander is a very easy plat. A fun arcadey style of puzzle game in Gem Smashers has 3 playable animal characters with your goal to be bouncing around in each level, breaking all of the different colored gems. The game features a story mode, which is thankfully relatively short because you will have to complete it not only one full time, but also a little bit of it multiple times with each character so that you're able to get certain trophies. When the game initially came out, there was a glitch that would happen that would prevent some of the trophies from popping, but thankfully that's all been patched, and now everything in Gem Smashers is not only easy to get, you'll get it in just a couple hours. Grim Legends: The Forsaken Bride is another one of those find the hidden object games, but this one doesn't have any major glitches that causes the game to break, at least none that I ran into, as well as the game can be done in a single playthrough as far as getting the platinum is concerned, so you don't have to worry about doing multiple playthroughs for certain trophies. It's also my personal favorite of the ones on this list, as I like the whole fairy tale-esque setting, and it has a bear that's a main part of the main story, so it instantly won brownie points in my book. Just like all the other hidden objects games, it's very easy, especially with a guide, and you'll have a plat in a couple of hours. A game that I was not a big fan of, but is a pretty easy platinum, is Dying Reborn. This game is very much inspired by the Saw movie franchise, basically having you locked up by a serial killer and you have to work your way through by solving inventory style of puzzles. It has some neat moments throughout of it, but the game ended up stuttering from time to time, as well as the save feature is a bit problematic. In fact, one time it didn't save at all and I backed out to the main menu, erasing all of my progress I had made. I also had a little bit of issues with the collectibles, but that may just be me not paying quite enough attention as I should. If you do follow a guide though, you should have a platinum in Dying Reborn in about an hour, and in fact this game has multiple versions of it available, so if you want to keep rebuying it, you can get quite a few platinums out of Dying Reborn. A game that I don't think a lot of people ended up checking out, Knee Deep, is an episodic play featuring multiple playable characters in this small little town in Florida. It's a murder mystery, there's a cult involved, and overall, I actually enjoyed the game. It also has a very easy platinum. Once again, made a ton easier if you do end up using a guide to kind of help you through things. There's a few different choices you'll have to make, and you will have to replay a few of the chapters. Thankfully, there is a chapter select so that you make those right choices when needed, and there are a couple of endings. But overall, in about 2.5 hours, Knee Deep will be done, and you'll have yourself a plat. A very humorous but very short adventure game, Her Majesty's Spiffing, has you playing as 2 astronauts of the United Kingdom trying to restore the glory by the Queen's orders by traveling into space and conquering planets. There's a lot of internet and mainstream media kinds of references throughout the course of the game where a lot of the trophies actually revolve around that. It is one of those games that will take a little bit of save manipulation, aka doing something one way, then reloading a previous save and doing it a different way. And if you do follow a guide though, this game is about an hour long at most, and you can have yourself a plat. By far the easiest game on this list is Mr. Masagi from the creators of My Name is Mayo. And in fact, this game may even be easier in some regards to My Name is Mayo because you don't have to click the X button quite as often. It is a text-based dating sim-esque thing where you have to date multiple girls with a Tinder-like app, and you have to make the right choices in order to get a 3-star rating for your date. All the choices are easily available online with a full guide to help you through, but heck, even without that, it still only took me about 45 minutes to get the platinum in Mr. Masagi, and if you use a guide, it'll probably take you about half an hour at most to do so. So there you have it, Volume 5 of extremely easy platinums you can get on the PlayStation 4. Let me know what you thought of this list down in the comment section below. Let me know also if there's any games in particular I may have missed. Maybe there's a few foreign lists or other stuff that I haven't had an opportunity to cover quite yet, and I can include on the next list whenever that ends up happening. But anyway guys, that's going to wrap up this countdown. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course I hope you enjoyed.